evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Thursday, September 29, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Government aiming to address shortage of judges when Parliament reconvenes. Assessment team's report on oil leak will determine course of action, says EPA head. Government pursuing new technologies to ensure environmentally friendly shipping industry. Guyana making strides in bridging digital divide. MCCOY tells international conference. And after 2 years of closure, no digitized MIBICURI court reopens. Now for the news in detail. A shortage of judges is adversely affecting the judiciary, and Attorney General INT'L is hoping to have this issue addressed in the shortest possible time. In our lead story tonight, Andrew Carmichael reports that this matter could be addressed when Parliament reconvenes.
For a number of years, the country has been facing an issue of a shortage of judges. In fact, because of this issue, Berbice has been without a land court judge for more than a decade. The appointment of judges is done by the Judicial Service Commission, which has not been constituted since 2017. The Judicial Service Commission plays a critical role in the appointment of new magistrates and judges, and in its absence, this appointment process is significantly hampered. Attorney General INT'L has contended that the judges' shortage in the country is unacceptable and assures that the issue will be addressed as Parliament reconvenes. The National Assembly is currently on recess, which will end on October 10.
I want to assure you that as soon as Parliament resumes, the process to activate the Judicial Service Commission will move swiftly. In fact, all the preparatory works have been done. There is one nominee that I believe is outstanding, and it's a nominee to fill the post of chairperson of the Public Service Commission.
Article 198(1) of the Constitution of Guyana states that members of the Judicial Service Commission must be comprised of the Chancellor of the Judiciary, who will be appointed as chairman, the Chief Justice, the chairman of the Public Service Commission, and any other member appointed to the commission. INT'L says the process has already started to have the commission installed.
And I am aware that whatever has to be done in Parliament have already been streamlined, and as soon as the National Assembly resumes, because it's in recess, that process will be expedited. And it is the Judicial Service Commission that holds that important constitutional function of expediting applications for the appointment of judges who are to be appointed by His Excellency, the President.
The Judicial Service Commission's power include the power to make appointments, to remove and exercise disciplinary control over persons holding several legal offices, including the Commissioner of Titles, magistrates, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Registrar of the High Court, Deputy Registrar of the High Court, Registrar of Deeds and Deputy Registrar of Deeds, and officers connected with the court. Andrew Carmichael for Evening News.
Almost 4 weeks after it was announced that the Liza Unity FPSO vessel had experienced an oil leak, the Environmental Protection Agency EPA is still in the process of compiling its report, and according to EPA Executive Director Kemraj Parsram, the findings of the assessment team would determine the course of action to be taken. Let's have a look.
The EPA head, Kemraj Parsram, explained to the Evening News that the assessment team had traveled offshore to where the Liza Unity vessel is pumping oil in the Stabroek Block in order to investigate the oil leak and conduct interviews on board that vessel. He said the team was able to gather critical information.
We were using our in-house monitoring capabilities to using the satellite imagery to determine the size of the slick and to calculate the volume from the spill. And to date, that volume is matching up to what they reported. In fact, it was slightly under 1 barrel of oil. All right?
Okay.
And so there's a methodology that you use to, based on the slick size, the area of the slick, and there's a calculation that you use to estimate the volume.
According to Parsram, the full findings of the investigation would be made public once the team completes and hands over its final report. This, he noted, should be done in the coming days. The EPA had further posited that based on the findings and recommendations in the report, it would be determined whether or not any action would be taken against the oil company over the incident.
It depends on the scale of the situation. The report will, and the findings will determine the course of action. Right?
Okay.
It's not automatically that you say, okay, because there's a barrel of still oil that you will take stringent measures. Again, it has to be informed by the findings and the applicable laws.
Okay.
Right? And the requirements of the permit. So that, as part of the investigation and the report, the recommendations will be made as to what actions we take.
United States oil giant ExxonMobil had reported that on September 9, the team on the Liza Unity FPSO observed a sheen on the water in the vicinity of the vessel. Initial investigations indicate that approximately 1 barrel of crude oil was released during a maintenance activity on the vessel. The activity was immediately stopped and the leak isolated. The EPA, along with other relevant government agencies, was immediately notified of the incident. At the time, Parsram had explained that the spill was not from the production well itself, but was from an offloading hose on the Unity FPSO that was used to transfer the oil onto a tanker. There has since not been a reoccurrence of this incident on the Liza Unity, the second FPSO vessel to operate offshore, which only started production in February. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchan.
The Guyana Elections Commission has maintained that allegations of unlawful acts committed during an election can be determined only by a court of law. This is in the wake of fresh calls by the main political opposition for the commission to investigate such allegations. Here are the details.
In a recent statement, GCOM's Public Relations Officer Yolanda Ward acknowledged that recently there have been public pronouncements calling for GCOM to conduct internal investigations into allegations of electoral fraud that were reported to have occurred during the March 2020 general and regional elections. In response, she explained that, and I quote, "It is of crucial importance to note that Article 163 of the Constitution of Guyana stipulates that, subject to the provisions of this article, the High Court shall have exclusive jurisdiction to determine any question whether, either generally or in any particular place, an election has been lawfully conducted or the result thereof has been or might have been affected by any unlawful act or omission." End quote. She further acknowledged that correspondence listing the names of persons who were allegedly either deceased or out of the jurisdiction on the date of the elections were indeed received from the APNU AFC coalition during the national recount. These lists were sent to the Registrar General and Chief Immigration Officer respectively for verification. However, she said notwithstanding this action having been taken, GCOM could not have taken any further action in this matter, since to do so would have been in contravention of Article 163 of the Constitution. Ward added, and I quote, "The fact that the national recount had established that more votes were cast in favor of the People's Progressive Party Civic, the onus was on the APNU AFC to file an election petition to determine the validity of the allegations of unlawful acts such as voter impersonation." End quote. In light of this, she reminded all stakeholders, but particularly the political parties, that GCOM's operations continue to be guided by the Constitution and the relevant laws for the conduct of registration and elections. Last week, APNU AFC, through its chief scrutineer Carl Joseph, had sent a letter to GCOM seeking an investigation into and public disclosure of alleged voter impersonation at the 2020 general and regional elections. Meanwhile, Attorney General INT'L has already asked the police to investigate the documents of alleged voter fraud which APNU AFC had provided to GCOM after the controversial elections.
As Guyana joins the rest of the world in observing World Maritime Day, the country's Maritime Administration Department, MARAD, has announced that it is pursuing new technologies in order to attain a safe and environmentally friendly shipping industry. More in this report.
World Maritime Day is being observed under the theme New Technologies for Greener Shipping. In a statement, the Maritime Administration Department, MARAD, headed by Captain Stephen Thomas, noted that the theme reflects the need to support a green transition of the maritime sector into a sustainable future while leaving no one behind. He noted that Guyana will spare no effort to obtain safer and greener seas as ships transport a vast majority of goods. He said, and I quote, "Guyana's ocean area is more than half of Guyana's territorial area. Thus, we are endowed with the space to pursue greener shipping through the expansion of the blue economy and the implementation of sustainable economic development initiatives." End quote. In this regard, he noted that the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030 underscores the national vision for sustainable economic development that will benefit future generations of Guyanese. The objectives of the LCDS include the stimulation of future growth and the utilization of clean energy with a view to preserve the ocean and maritime resources. Additionally, Captain Thomas highlighted some key elements for a greener approach outlined by the Secretary-General of the International Maritime Organization. This includes a global collaboration between countries relative to the sharing and distribution of information on best practices and sensitization campaigns. The MIO has also been promoting technological solutions since the implementation of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Initiative. To this end, a new fuel will be introduced to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In addition, new measures are being implemented, such as slow steaming, implementation of sails, and efficient hull designs to further help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Captain Thomas said shipping plays a fundamental role in delivering green fuel globally and will act as an enabler for governments and industries to achieve greater prospects.
Coming up, daily breakfast in schools benefiting over 10,000 students and schools being extended to accommodate all NGSA learners. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Cheryl, girl, you want me? Sorry, I'm interrupting y'all.
Marla, I'm here taking the census.
Girl, you done got a husband already, huh?
Miss, I am a census taker, going door to door so that everyone can be interviewed and counted in the National Census 2022.
What is the census though?
Well, the Population and Housing Census is a count of the population and all the buildings every 10 years.
Getting counted transforms an entire nation.
From Region 1 to Region 10.
You know what? I believe our village needs a health center.
I think it needs some roads too. You see the man boots out there, how it's full of mud, eh?
That's why I'm asking Mrs. De Silva a few questions from our questionnaire. We record the answers and then the data is used to help shape the future of the country.
Oh, so the two y'all not...
Oh gosh.
We call
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
The biggest party in sport is back for the 10th year of CPL.
Let's rock and roll, gentlemen. That is magnificent.
CPL will be bigger, better and louder than ever, with more sixes, more entertainment and more of the world's best players.
That is simply sensational. Oh, yes.
Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at the box office. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
Did you know that when you leave your property unoccupied and unmanaged, it deteriorates much faster than you can imagine? Then before you know it, much of your hard-earned investment is wasted. At Hand in Hand Trust Corporation, property management is our business. Whether you travel for long periods, live overseas, or have several properties that require managing, let us at Hand in Hand Trust Corporation take care of this for you. Your property is safe with us. Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Incorporated, a member of the Hand in Hand Group of Companies.
Cheryl, girl, you want me? Sorry, I'm interrupting y'all.
Marla, I'm here taking the census.
Girl, you done got a husband already, huh?
Miss, I am a census taker, going door to door so that everyone can be interviewed and counted in the National Census 2022.
What is the census though?
Well, the Population and Housing Census is a count of the population and all the buildings every 10 years.
Getting counted transforms an entire nation.
From Region 1 to Region 10.
You know what? I believe our village needs a health center.
I think it needs some roads too. You see the man boots out there, how it's full of mud, eh?
That's why I'm asking Mrs. De Silva a few questions from our questionnaire. We record the answers and then the data is used to help shape the future of the country.
Oh, so the two y'all not...
Oh gosh.
We call
Premier insurance coverage for less. Stay safe. For bid, performance, retention, advanced mobilisation or customs bonds, bond with us. Fuel your success. Call 223-0840 or visit premierinsurance.gy. Premier insurance coverage.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optique, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optique Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. There are over 217 schools involved in the Ministry of Education's breakfast program, and some 10,300 students are currently being provided with their first meal before classroom activities begin. Find out more in this Rupa Sinarayan report.
At the launch of the breakfast program at the West Rheinfeldt Primary School on Thursday, Permanent Secretary of the Education Ministry Alfred King said this initiative ensures that children are at their optimal to perform well academically. These efforts come at a cost of $267 million and will enable breakfast for all grade 6 students.
We thought that we should go nationally to get all the grade 6 learners involved in the school feeding program, so that once they get into the classroom, they stay there, they're happy, and they do well. That's our intention. So today, we have more than 10,300 learners on this program, which is tremendous.
Assistant Chief Education Officer Primary Rabinder Singh said this program will ease the weight on parents to prepare an early meal. However, he said children will have to be in schools at least 30 minutes before so that it does not affect curriculum delivery.
This program is going to help you, the children of grade 6, to ensure you come to school And what I want to emphasize is that you not only come to school, this program must not even prevent you 1 minute late from delivering your curriculum. Therefore, it means you have to be here at least half an hour every day to ensure you will serve your breakfast and finish at least 10 to 9 so you can get back to your classroom in time to commence your study.
By the ending of October, the Ministry of Education is aiming to extend its reach to about 500 more students. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
The Education Ministry is making arrangements to adequately place the larger volume of grade 6 students this year into secondary schools as these learners return to the classroom on October 3. Here is Rupa Sinarayan again with the details.
This year, over 16,000 learners sat the National Grade 6 Assessment and had to be placed by the Education Ministry in a secondary institution based on their performance. This represents some 4,000 more students requiring placements. Permanent Secretary Alfred King told media operatives on Thursday that work is ongoing to extend some schools within Georgetown.
The government in itself is very proactive in terms of its policies in relation to placing all of those additional 4,000 learners. So come the 3rd, we're expecting that all the learners will be at school. If you pass around QC, pass around Bishops, you'll see intentions there to extend those schools by new spaces being created. Similarly, that is happening in and around Georgetown, and there are some other initiatives which I rather suspect would roll out in time for the 3rd.
The Permanent Secretary underscored that the Education Ministry is aiming to return to complete normalcy as disruptions slowly fade. This is ongoing not just at the NGSA level but CXC.
The intention is to return school to normalcy, and we'd have done everything over the last year or so to return school to normalcy. Even with CXC, they try their best to bring back the CXC results a little bit early to go back into the cycle of applying for jobs and applying for universities for further studies and so on. The same it is with NGSA. We are hopeful that with all the disruption almost over and everything is back to almost normal, that we'll go back to normal timetabling so there will be less disruption in children preparing for and getting into the grade 6 level from next year and onwards.
Since the pandemic, it was reiterated that education officials have been analyzing policies and resources for students to access education without any hindrances. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for public affairs, Kwame McCoy, has spoken about the strides being made by the Guyana government in bridging the digital divide in the country. He was at the time addressing global leaders who gathered for the Plenipotentiary Conference 2022 of International Telecommunication Union being held in Bucharest, Romania, under the theme Building Better Digital Future. Here is more.
Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister Kwame McCoy is currently attending the ITU Plenipotentiary Conference ITU PP22. Being held in Romania, the conference is the highest policy-making body of the International Telecommunication Union. It is hosted every 4 years and is the key event at which ITU member states decide on the future role of the organization, thereby determining the organization's ability to influence and affect the development of information and communication technologies, ITCs, worldwide. While addressing a ministerial roundtable at the event, Minister McCoy explained that in keeping with its manifesto promises and governance policy, the PPPC government has fully committed its energies and significant portions of the country's resources to transforming the telecommunication landscape of Guyana and building a technological knowledge-based society which ultimately seeks to bridge the digital divide among the citizens and regions. McCoy told the global leaders that his government has launched a campaign to provide free internet service in public spaces, primarily focusing on underserved communities. So far, 300 sites have been established, benefiting over 250,000 residents. Additionally, in efforts to bridge the digital divide between the coastland and hinterland, government built its own satellite ground station to provide connectivity services to over 160 locations in hinterland areas. The initiative benefits approximately 60,000 residents living in remote communities nationwide. On the issue of building capacity, Minister McCoy stated that 20,000 world-class online academic and skill-based scholarships have been made available to citizens. In closing, the minister affirmed Guyana's commitment to partnering with the ITU and individual member states for capacity building and collaborative approaches for building better digital future. Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchand.
After 2 years of closure as a result of bat infestation and flooding, the MIBICURI Magistrates Court in Region 6 was today recommissioned. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael joins us now to report that the newly opened court will make special arrangements for traumatized victims by providing safe rooms where they can give evidence against their perpetrators.
The Magistrates Court was recommissioned at a cost of $24 million. It was initially commissioned in 2012 and serviced the 45,000 persons in the four polders of Yakasari, Johanna, Les Beholden, and MIBICURI. The Magistrates Court was closed because the building was bat infested and the compound frequently flooded. Chief Magistrate Ann McKinnon noted that while the Magistrates Court was closed since 2019, it was housed at the WIM Magistrates Court building.
Judiciary cognizant of the fact that access to justice is more than merely provided at old shabby buildings around the court, but that a space should be provided where court users can transact their business in a court-friendly, clean and comfortable environment.
The recommissioned building now has facilities for persons in wheelchairs, also has a recording system which will ensure that any testimony is digitally recorded. Victims of domestic violence will also be able to give their evidence in a court-friendly environment. Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Yonet Cummins-Edwards, explained the need for a court to service the 4,500 residents of the community of Blackbush Polder.
And this is largely so when they're not assured of timely and affordable justice or legal avenues or assistance to deal with their legal disputes. They will want to know that their cases are being dealt with and resolved by a fair and independent arbiter, and that at the end of the day, their legal needs are met and they would have had a fair hearing and enjoy a just result.
The court will be presided over by Senior Magistrate Alex Moore. Meanwhile, Attorney General INT'L Nandlal underscored the importance of access to justice.
And it is this institution, the rule of law, the administration of justice, that protects your freedom, that protects your liberty, that protects your property, that protects life itself. So it is as important as every other right and every other facility that the government working to provide to the people.
The MIBICURI Magistrates Court is part of the Quarantine Magisterial District, which includes the WIM, number 51, and Skeldon Magistrates Court. Reporting from the witness box at the MIBICURI Magistrates Court, for the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Friday, September 30, 2022 at 4 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed at 6 hours 45 on Friday, September 30, 2022, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Warriors out of CPL 2022 after heavy defeat against Talawas, and Royals Talawas a beat ahead of CPL 2022 final at Providence. Details of these stories and more in this sportcast sponsored by McCorp coming up on the other side of the break.
Superbet com certeza a sua melhor escolha. Com mais de 200 jogos online com Superbet, você aposta para ganhar. Cadastre-se hoje, tá esperando o quê? Basta acessar o www.superbet.gy. Clicar em registrar e você já está apto a participar. Lembrando que o Superbet não é recomendado para menores de 18 anos.
Sorry, I'm interrupting y'all.
Marla, I'm here taking the census.
Girl, you done got a husband already, huh?
Miss, I am a census taker, going door to door so that everyone can be interviewed and counted in the National Census 2022.
What is the census though?
Well, the Population and Housing Census is a count of the population and all the buildings every 10 years.
Getting counted transforms an entire nation.
From Region 1 to Region 10.
You know what? I believe our village needs a health center.
I think it needs some roads too. You see the man boots out there, how it's full of mud, eh?
That's why I'm asking Mrs. Da Silva a few questions from our questionnaire. We record the answers and then the data is used to help shape the future of the country.
Oh, so the two y'all not...
Oh gosh.
We go. Complete control of power is in your hands with the ultimate U.S. brand Generac generators from Sylvie's Variety Store. Get the supply and reliability you need every time. From 1,800 to 8,000 watts of power for residential and commercial use. Recoil and electric start with gasoline engines. Generac generators from the authorized dealers Sylvie's Variety Store.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Let's celebrate Oreo's 110th birthday together with the limited edition birthday cake flavor and our promotion where you can win a wish valued up to $1 million. To participate, all you have to do is buy Oreo, drop your coupon or receipt into entry boxes, or enter online at www.everydaysnacksgy.com.
Boss, man, I'm vexed here, boy. Boss, this fuel filter damage again, champ.
That's impossible. I only bought this 2 weeks ago. How do you install it?
2 weeks? What's I usually really buy these filters from?
Downtown, up Regent Street.
What I told you to go at my part?
You can't